Well, hello. Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is Tom.
Mike.
AM.
In the PM.
Right here at HUDRadio.com. We are live from the BMW of Atlantic City studios. They're located right off exit 37 of the Parkway, and you can find them online, BMWofAtlanticCity.com. Every Wednesday night, we are brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, your certified public accountant. Find them on the web, GibsonMayer.com. I'm Tom Arnone, joined by Michael Mataraki, Dan, Nightman Dan, right? Did I get the
Yeah.
I got it right this time?
Yeah.
Look
Sure.
at this. We're growing. Rob Povey on the ones and twos. A lot to talk about tonight here in the city of Philadelphia. We're going to get into a little radio wars that have happened over the last 48 hours here in Philadelphia. Fake callers, the whole nine. We'll talk about that because this is the worldwide leader of Real Talk. Phillies, September call-ups, 40-man roster, expansion. Who's going to be up? Who's staying down? What do we do with all these outfielders? You know, Jake Thompson, are you concerned? Vincent Velasquez, is it finally time to send Vincent to where I've been trying to send them all season? That's a closer role. When are people going to listen to me? Probably never, but I'm going to keep spewing nonsense or diarrhea to the mouth, as some jackasses like to say on Facebook. It's just conversation, gentlemen. But all that being said, we're getting close, boys. We're getting close to NFL kickoff. Agree, disagree, went over to, time for kickoff. What do you like more, NFL or college? Obviously, we all know what we like more, and that's NFL. But we're going to be getting
What did Wilson say?
NFL.
All right, good.
Yeah, everybody was NFL, besides like the fuzzles.
The puzzle.
I mean, that's where
I
you wet
love
your
it.
beak. You wet your beak in the college game.
Yeah.
To throw a couple fuzzles around. But we're going to get a lot of Eagles talk tonight, breaking down our projections of the 53-man roster. What kind of season can we expect from the Philadelphia Eagles? 2 new acquisitions, which you don't see a lot at this point in time. 2 key acquisitions. One, Dorial Green-Beckham and Stephen Tulloch. The other night, he was a tackle and machine. But our poll question based around Stephen Tulloch that you can vote on, that's brought to you by Scanzano Sports. And you can find them on the web, scanzanosports.com. And you can vote on our poll question tonight. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. A2D Radio is where you can find us. The Eagles signing of Stephen Tulloch means more linebacker depth. Goodbye, Michael Kendricks. A fantastic defense, or are you still undecided? And Mr. Mataraki, I'll start it right with you, sir.
Well, my vote was for goodbye Michael Kendricks. Now, I don't know if it's goodbye Michael Kendricks as in he's getting cut, or if it's goodbye Michael Kendricks, he's not going to be in the starting lineup. But the thing about Michael Kendricks is you got to be on the field to produce, and Michael Kendricks can't stay on the field right now. And they're kind of getting to the point where even though Michael Kendricks has an absolute ton of potential, and we all know when Michael Kendricks is right, he can be a beast. Michael Kendricks hasn't been right for a while, and there could be a problem there.
Oh, big time.
So I think it comes down to, quite honestly, how much of his guaranteed contract do they have to eat if they cut him? And if they do cut him, how are they going to replace him? But if a guy can't stay on the field for you, there's no use in keeping him on your roster.
Well, he's never played a full 16 games. I mean, he went 15 games in 2012. 2013, he played in 15 as well. 2014, 12, and last year, 13. I mean, this is a guy that you're paying money to that needs to be on the field 16 games a year.
You're paying big money to.
Big money to. And that's your concern.
I never got the Kendricks love. I mean, he's been here for how long, and he's never really produced. Like, he had like a couple flashes and everything, but like,
that's
he's
what it
always
is.
Injured.
He's a guy who flashes, and
people love him here.
When he flashes, you see that potential of what could be, not what is there.
Yeah, I agree.
But you hit the nail right on the head with the flashes, no question about it, Danny.
Well, that's all it is. But you can see with the flashes, that's what gets you excited, because when you're seeing the flashes, you think this is a guy who's a game changer. This is a guy who, you talk about the old Cowboys defenses, in the 90s when, you had linebackers who go side to side, sideline to sideline. That's Michael Kendricks. He's a guy who can go sideline to sideline real well, but to the point, if he's not healthy, he's useless. And Jordan Hicks is the same. Knock on Jordan Hicks. I mean, it's not about talent with Jordan Hicks. It's about his whole career, college on up right now, has been health concerns. So Stephen Tulloch my vote was more linebacker depth, because that's what you need.
That's exactly
you can't have too much. This guy's a walking tackling machine when he's right too. But again, coming off an ACL, this almost reminds me of D'Amico Ryans. This is what this signing reminds me of a lot. A guy 30, 31 years old, coming off an injury. It's a one-year deal, but I think if he has a successful year,
he gets re-signed.
He gets re-signed. So I mean, it's a guy 117 combined tackles, something like that last year, right around that ballpark.
Wasn't he in his 10th or 11th year now?
Yeah.
He's
31.
He's 31, and he's going into his 11th year. So, he's a guy who came out early. He's been in the league for a while. I mean, there's no questioning the talent level with this guy. And, Tommy, we've beat this horse a couple of times now over the past few weeks, but he's a Schwartz guy. Mm-hmm. He was with Schwartz in Detroit, and these guys that, Schwartz is bringing the guys from Buffalo, now a guy from Detroit, and they say that, when you hire a new general manager, he wants to bring in his own coach. Mm-hmm. And a coach typically wants to bring in his own offensive coordinator, but the defensive coordinator gets to bring in his guys. And that's what we're seeing right now with Schwartz is, he's loading up on these guys that have played in his system before, and I think we've seen over the first 2 preseason games. Now, granted, Pittsburgh showed next to nothing last Thursday night, but you're looking at a combined 9 points allowed in 8 quarters. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hang my hat on it, but I'll take it.
The only really good thing so far about this preseason has been Jim Schwartz's defense and how they are able to take away the ball and get to the quarterback. The front four, they're exciting to watch. No matter who's on the field, they're just exciting.
Oh, I agree. I agree completely. And when we talk about linebacking depth, I mean, there's been some guys that have shown flashes, going back to that same word. You had Joe Walker, who, was looking really good, late-round draft pick, and then he blew his knee out, and he's now on IR for the season. Stephen Means is a guy that we talked to Mark Eckel about a couple weeks ago. Mark Eckel was really high on him. He's also flashed at times, but you don't necessarily know what you're going to get from him. I was actually kind of impressed with Marcus Smith the other night.
Oh, God.
I'm just saying, we've talked about it. You put your hand in the dirt and you rush the passer, good things happen.
Yeah, and you're deep. Like, you're really deep at the end, but even linebacker, you're still a little short there right now. I mean, if you're projecting a 53-man roster, I mean, it could be Bragum, Hicks, Kendricks, Tulloch, and Najee Good, and that's it.
And that's it.
That could be your 5 linebackers that make it. So that's what you're looking at right now. So you can't afford Kendricks to go down because then you're then who's getting put out of place? You know what I mean? Because Tulloch's a middle linebacker. At the end of the day, I mean, I don't see him playing the outside too much. He's a middle linebacker. That's what he is, and I don't. Maybe Hicks could play the outside if Kendricks got hurt. So Well,
I know there was a lot of talk early on that Brian Brayman, who's their special teams ace. If you look on the depth chart, they have him listed as a defensive end, but he came into the league as a linebacker, and you got the kid Don Cherry out of Villanova, you got the other guy Mike Tavares. Neither of those guys are moving the needle that much. Stephen Means, again, another linebacker that they have listed as a defensive end. So, I mean, to your point, Tommy, it's Bradham, Hicks, Kendricks, Tulloch, and Good, and after that. I mean, do they make another trade? Do they wait and see what happens with other teams and guys who may get let go at the end of camp?
To your point with trades, at this point, I think you can't do it again. You brought in 2 new players. It's already tough. That's why you don't see it a lot of times this point of the season because guys are behind. You try to get that stuff done before, OTAs and that kind of crap. That's when you sort of want to bring them guys in from the beginning. So, I hope not. I hope that guys can stay healthy where we don't have to look outside the organization.
Right.
Because the big key is knowing the system you're playing in. It's tough to change places right now. Not as much for Stephen Tulloch because he wasn't playing anywhere. But for Dorial Green-Beckham, that's a tough change.
Right,
you're learning one offense boom to another.
Right, but Tulloch knows the system.
Yeah, so it's not a move.
For him, it's not a big deal.
No.
But to bring in another guy on the defensive side of the ball, you'd almost need to go out and get yourself another Schwartz guy. Or else, to your point, they're going to be behind. Big time.
No question about it. I mean, it's just going to be – listen, we talk about it all the time ad nauseum almost, but it's about health. It's about health. This is a good football team on paper. How healthy are they going to be? And it starts with Bradford, but it stems to this defense big time, guys. That front 7, which is highly talented right now. I mean, a lot of excitement for this front 7. They have to be healthy. If you lose key parts of this defense, we're in a lot of trouble. We talk about our safety combo. And McLeod and Jenkins, damn good safety combo. Our corners as starters I'm good with him. Now it looks like Jalen Watkins can play a little safety in this league, which is exciting. I'm not crowning him off of preseason, but he's an athlete, and it looks like a good conversion for him because he's not a one-on-one cover guy, which you can tell now. But he can come up. He can play in the box a little bit. You saw him make some good tackles, so you feel a little more comfortable there now than Ed Reynolds. Nothing against the white guys, dude. I'm not taking shots at us because I'm a white guy.
He's mixed. He's mixed. Come on now.
Who, Ed is?
Yeah, Ed's
okay.
mixed. Come on.
You know what I mean? I don't trust them guys. This isn't Jason Sehorn with his pants falling down. I want, I'm not trying to get myself fired from my own station, but I want some athletes out there. This is a nice way I can say it.
Listen, Dwayne.
Ed Reynolds scares me. I see him out there. He can't cover me. You know what I mean? You can't have white D-backs in this league anymore. It's a fast game.
How about
I don't know, man. I saw the way you just ran up the street. I don't think anybody could cover you.
That was pretty quick, wasn't it?
That was fleet.
That might have been a 4.7.
I was going 4.5.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I mean, that was wide receiver speed.
It felt good. I was really on the toes.
How about Nolan Carroll? He looked pretty good.
He does look good.
Yeah.
It's so tough to judge this, too.
I thought he was good last year.
Me
he
too.
gets ripped for no reason.
You know what he's a big thing at? You know what Nolan Carroll you can really hang your hat on when you talk about Nolan Carroll is he's a gym rat. I mean, he's a flat-out gym rat, and he's always upping the bar on his own accomplishments in the gym. And I like that because a lot of times at this level, that translates. Mm-hmm. So that's what I like about Nolan Carroll and why the injury doesn't fear me as much as another guy because he's such a workhorse, and he's a worker. And that's why they re-signed him.
He's solid, too.
He's solid. He's not a 1 in this league, but he's a solid 2. And the same thing with McKelvin. Solid 2, not a 1. But you can get.
But neither of them are going to be shut down corners.
No.
But neither of them are going to give up a Calvin Johnson Thanksgiving Day game either.
Nick Giuliano didn't like that at Philly Fan Radio. He just texted me, "What's wrong with white safeties?" Not you, Nick. I seen him pick 6. I seen Nick Giuliano pick 6.
Nice.
He plays in a football league. Like I'm talking pads.
Like legit.
Yeah, like pads, not the rough touch on Sunday mornings after a hangover. I'm talking about the real deal Holyfield type stuff. I want Schwarzkopf. The we're on the shore. But no, I seen him run, and man, I mean, he probably ran. It looked like he ran about 4.40 in the video I seen.
Yeah.
But everybody but you, Nick. You know what I mean? I mean, John. I mean, you can go back and give me white safeties and John Lynch, and I'm not. There's guys out there that can flat out play, but what did he make his mark on? He flat out stick you.
Yeah, he was,
you know what I'm
he
saying?
was the hit machine.
He's not going to outrun you. So you need, if you're going to have a white safety, you better be able to stick or just be a ball hawk. Because we don't see them. They're on the line. That's where we know our spots. We're wide out quarterbacks. We know our roles. But, yeah, what happened is.
Kickers, punters.
Just so everybody knows what we're talking about. If you're just joining us and you're talking about running down the street about a 4 or 5. Is I'm out front before we start the show about 3 minutes before, and I see this car drive up on my neighbor's lawn. And so I yell, "Yo, what are you doing? You all right?" And it looked like he got a little piece of my pops' car, and I'm not going to deal with my pops. So I'm running more like I'm running from my dad than I'm running after the car. But it felt good. I was hoping to hit some traffic up the street. The mother effer didn't hit any traffic.
So I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I'm certainly concerned for your well-being, and I'm looking up the street, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and I'm checking out your pops' bumper with the flashlight on the cell phone, but damn well I rolled right past your car.
Can't blame you.
Checking out my own a little bit too there.
This is paid for. You go right. You can go right on by that one.
I'm still feeling the effects of the down payment on mine.
The way you screamed down the street, I was getting ready to fight. I was getting all pumped up, getting ready to go.
I got to give you guys a ton of credit too. I mean, right out the door, all 4 of you jumped right out the door.
Boom. You go, we go.
I like that. But diving in, Stephen Tulloch, what's your guys' expectations? Give me the max you think you can get out of him, and then we'll go, what should we expect, and what's the least you think bearing injury that you get out of Stephen Tulloch. So we'll start with, what's the most you think you can get out, Dan?
The most I think that we're going to get out of him is just, like you said earlier, if someone goes down, he's going to be a solid guy to come in and back up. He already knows Schwartz's system. He's a big, solid dude, get underneath linemen. The least I expect from him is just to be a bench player, I guess. And that's basically it. I don't really expect that much from him unless someone goes down, which is very possible because of our linebacker issues with their injuries.
So given numbers, tackle-wise, what's the most tackles you think you get out of him? If he's on the field. I mean, if he's playing a lot of downs. You get the 100 that you got out of him last year?
Nah, I don't think so.
80s?
Yeah, I would say more around there.
80s?
90s. He's getting old, too.
No, he is.
Yeah.
He is. But the good thing about him being here is we talk about Jordan Hicks' injury history. It's good to spare this guy on big-time running downs.
Yeah.
So first, second down, or big-time running downs, you have Stephen Tulloch in there, and you give Hicks a little break on running downs. You give Kendricks a little break on running downs where you move Hicks to the outside. So there's some things you can do to try to not wear Jordan Hicks and Michael Kendricks down in a 16-game season. So I think that's where the Stephen Tulloch signing is really important. But, Mike, what's the max you think you get out of him?
See, it's interesting because I'm thinking back now to the point that you made about the situation where we just had, 2 years ago, where why the hell am I blanking on the guy's
D'Amico?
Yeah, D'Amico. I'm like, why am I blanking on this guy's name? Like the D'Amico Ryan situation where I see a lot of parallels, and I don't think anybody thought we were going to get the amount of snaps and the amount of production that we got out of D'Amico Ryans, and he was borderline Pro Bowler. Mm-hmm. To me, I think the amount of production you get out of Stephen Tulloch is going to be directly tied to the playing time. I kind of feel like in Schwartz's system, he might be a guy, the more he's on the field, the better he plays. If he's getting 15, 20, 25 snaps a game and, the opposition is running 75 to 80 plays, he may not find that rhythm. But if he's out there for 50 plays a game, it's kind of, he thrives off the contact a little bit. He feels the rhythm. He gets
a hitter,
a
hitter.
It's like a boxer. You got to get punched a couple times before you get into the fight. So, I mean, max you get out of Stephen Tulloch, you get a solid starting linebacker. Minimum, to Danny's point, he's going to be a bench guy, a depth guy. I don't think there's going to be a lot of middle ground. I think it's going to be kind of a lot or
nothing.
Hey, that guy's still here.
I think the max you get out of Tulloch, if he plays 16 games for you and he's thrown into that kind of role and he's in there, the majority of the snaps. I mean, I still think you can get that 100 tackles out of him because he's a middle linebacker.
Right.
Them guys, they clean up a lot. They should walk into that many tackles for the most part. It's not that many. I'm talking about combined tackles too.
Right.
But he's a guy that I still think can rack up them tackles. Now, how's he coming off the ACL is going to be a big question. How's he rebound? We talk about injuries like that, ACLs, Achilles, all them kinds of
takes a full year before you're back in the flow.
And this whole year is almost a rehab year till next year, where I think that's where you'll really get him healthy. Even at going on 32 next year. But for this year, I think the max if he plays 16 in that kind of spot, he could walk into 100 tackles. He's not a big interception guy. He's not a big forced fumble guy. If you look at his numbers, he's just a tackler. He's a solid middle linebacker. He's not great. He's not bad. But, again, the word solid comes to mind when I talk about him.
But he's also a guy playing for a contract next year.
Yeah, and
so
if
he wants to prolong the career,
better come out hitting.
You better come out hitting, exactly. Got to come out swinging the bats.
Now, the least I think you get out of him, you get 40, 50 tackles, he just doesn't play enough, or something doesn't fit, or he's not fully healthy. I think that's where you that's the least you get out of him. But I think the middle ground area is more that 70 to 80 tackle mark is what I think we should expect. And anything more than that is a bonus, or it's bad because somebody big went down in Kendricks or Hicks. Because at the end of the day, I like Stephen Tulloch a lot, but I'm not getting I'm not wishing injury on Jordan Hicks to see Stephen Tulloch play.
No.
I need Jordan Hicks. We need Jordan Hicks to play 16 games.
Right, but I think the crazy thing about this is having Stephen Tulloch on your team. I mean, this is a guy who's he's going into his 11th year. He's basically a de facto starting linebacker, even though he's technically not going to be a starter. He's not a guy that you're going to have running down on kickoff and punt coverage. He's not going to be on kickoff return and punt return. So having him on the roster now makes guys like Jalen Watkins, who can play corner and safety, Eric Rowe, who can play corner and safety, even the aforementioned Ed Reynolds, who is kind of becoming an afterthought.
I don't think he makes the team.
But he's a special teams guy who can play both safety spots, and he's your gunner on the punt team and stuff like that. Having him take up a roster spot now causes the need for versatility amongst other guys on the defensive side of the ball. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of moves Schwartz makes. And I mean, could this also be, he brought Ron Brooks in from Buffalo, and the thought was that Brooks was going to be, your nickel corner and a special teams guy. Well, is that nickel corner role now going to go to somebody else? And maybe Ron Brooks doesn't make this team. Who knows? It's tough to say.
I'm looking at Brooks and Jalen Mills as your nickel. That's what I'm assuming happens. I assume Watkins and Maragos are your backup safeties. I mean, Chris Maragos makes this team, and Jalen Watkins, the camp he's having, is going to make this team over Ed Reynolds. That's going to happen.
A given. Yeah.
So Ed Reynolds is on my roster, not making
not
this
on
team.
Your roster.
I go to the corner position, not the nickel, but the corners, and I go McKelvin.
You got to go Nolan
Carroll, yeah, and then I go Rowe.
All right.
Because I think Eric Rowe makes his team. I don't see any way he doesn't make this team. Yeah. So your Corey Shepherds of the world, your CFL guys, they don't make this team.
Right.
They're just, even when you go to the offense side of the ball, and I know there's a lot of, love for Paul Turner. I think he's worked his way to making this team. You look at Jordan Matthews, Aguilar, Dorial Green-Beckham. I think Huff, as much as I hate him, makes his team because of kick returning. And I think Paul Turner is that other wideout.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I actually think Paul Turner could wind up being a starter on this team.
Could. I don't think Ruben Randall makes his team.
I don't think Ruben Randall makes a team. And I think come opening day, the first time that the Eagles offense takes the field, and you're going to line up with Jordan Matthews on one side and Paul Turner on the other. And then when they go three wide, you'll see Jordan Matthews slide inside, and then you're going to be looking at, who's coming on the field. Is it DHB? Is it Nelson Aguilar? I mean,
I listen, for our sake, as much as the kid's having a good camp, kudos to Paul Turner. If we're opening up in Paul Turner's, the other guy with Jordan Matthews, that's worrisome to me.
It's
tough. Michael, not because of his talent.
No,
because
I know.
there's a first-round freaking pick and another high-round pick.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Two guys in Aguilar and Dorial Green-Beckham that he shouldn't beat out.
Right.
But kudos to him if he does.
Well, I mean, the whole Paul Turner thing, it's all sort of coming to light now, and everybody's like, oh, he went to Louisiana Tech. They don't ever throw the ball, blah, blah, blah. The guy had a full ride to LSU.
Yeah, you were saying this earlier.
Right. The guy had a full ride to LSU, but he didn't want to sit behind Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry.
Can't blame him.
Yeah, I can't blame him either. So he transferred. Or he decommitted, and he went to Louisiana Tech because the coach at Louisiana Tech told him, we're bringing in a pro-style quarterback, and we're going to start throwing the ball a lot more. Well, then all of a sudden, the running back, Kenneth Dixon, who currently in the NFL, Kenneth Dixon comes on the scene at Louisiana Tech and explodes, and they don't have much of a passing game. Paul Turner's got talent. And will he earn a starting spot? I don't know. I think he could. But to your point, and Danny, to what you had alluded to before we went on, if you're right. If he's starting, that is a problem because that means your first-round draft pick in Nelson Aguilar and the Titans' second-round draft pick, Dorial Green-Beckham, are riding your bench.
Yeah, and too much talent out of them, too. I mean, what do you think, Dan?
Well, at least Nelson Aguilar showed you something. Made a nice catch.
Yeah.
At least when the ball was hitting his hands, he was holding on to it. So it gave me, it made me breathe just a little bit, because I'm on the edge of my seat watching this guy, and I'm I'm about to cry every single time that they throw him the ball because I think it's just going to drop, and I'm just going to – the voices in my head are going to be like, he's a bust, he's a bust, he's a bust, and I'm going to start freaking out, losing my mind. This team never drafts right. It's just a big problem. It's Howie Roseman's fault, and then I'll just go insane. So at least he calmed my nerves a bit.
A little bit. It makes us feel a little better about it, I think when we talk about Nelson Aguilar, there's one thing that sticks in my head, and a lot of that's being a rookie last year, but his consistency.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to be, if you're going to be a number 2 or a number 1 wideout for a football team, you got to be consistently good. Mm-hmm. You can't come out and have 8 catches one game and come back the next and have 2. They're the wide receivers that I don't like, the guys who disappear. I mean, say what you want about, we don't like, we have Beckham in our division, Dez Bryant. Say what you will about Dez Bryant. He doesn't disappear. Beckham, in my opinion, more of a disappearer than Dez is at times. I think you can, if you're asking me and we had this argument the other day, if you're asking me which one you can shut down more, I'm not trying to go off the rails here, but if you're asking me which one do you think is more of a prototypical number one wide receiver? I want your guys' opinion. Do you think Dez Bryant or Beckham? I mean, I understand both are, but I think Dez does a little bit more in terms of going over the middle. He's more physical. Like if you want your prototypical wideout, which one would you want?
I would take Dez Bryant. Yeah, I definitely would too. And the other aspect that comes into it is that I think that Odell Beckham is just so mentally weak sometimes. I feel like you can just get into his head and just mess with him, keep messing with him, and then his production just goes down, you know? So I would definitely take Dez for everything else that he can do. He's a big guy, strong, fast. I like Dez.
The whole package.
It pains me to say I like Dez.
Yeah, much
as a player.
Dez is the modern-day T.O.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Mike. That's a great assessment.
He is. He's the modern-day T.O. He's everything you want in a wide receiver. To me, Odell Beckham Jr., I mean, he makes spectacular plays. Guy's got great hands and everything like that. To me, he's like super deluxe Deshaun Jackson. 2-3 years down the road when teams have completely figured out how to shut him down, can his game evolve, or does he just turn into a guy that just tries to run by everybody and make spectacular catches?
That's what I see it turning into. When I think, I mean, you could say some of Dez's injuries are being by playing the game so physical. But I mean, that's part of it. That's the kind of wide receiver I want. When I look at Aguilar right now in his career, I don't see a guy who's going to go over the middle and take the hit right now. Like Jordan Matthews, say what you want about it, his drops and everything like that. He's physical.
He's tough.
He's tough. He's physical. Dorial Green-Beckham, we don't know it yet. There's not enough sample size with him and Aguilar yet. So it's a big make or break for these two.
He can get up.
But here's
it's a big make or break for these two guys in their career moving forward. They're in their second year. This is make it or break it time. Most rookie wide receivers struggle. I mean, take out your Beckhams of the world, your Calvin Johnson when he was a rookie. Most of them don't have good first years.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's that second year jump. It's like the same thing in the NBA. Your rookie year, you're a good player, but then the second, third years we take a jump. These two guys need to take a jump.
Well, here's my thing is that if you're Howie Roseman, Doug Peterson, Sam Bradford, Chase Daniel, Carson Wentz, and you look at this situation and you say, okay, we're going to come out 3 wide, and on one side I'm going to have this physical specimen in Dorial Green-Beckham, and on the other side I'm going to have a guy who may very well have been a top 3 slot receiver in the league last year in Jordan Matthews. And then outside of him, I'm lining up a first-round draft pick, a guy who tore it up at USC, in Nelson Aguilar. If they play to their potential, they have the opportunity to be dangerous. The problem is you can't even find that potential right now. It's just... There's so many disconnects and missing pieces. I think you know what it is, but you have no idea how to get there.
I don't know what it is with Nelson Aguilar. I mean, he was hurt last year. We didn't really get to see that.
No, I think you got to look back on the body of work in college and the reasons that they drafted him as high as they did.
Yeah, I understand that. And another thing that I liked too, I forget who asked him, but someone asked Nelson Aguilar what he thought about them bringing in DGB. Does he feel any pressure because of that? And he answered it the right way. He said, no, he's coming in here. We're going to try to elevate each other's play. We're going to work hard together. I look at it as a challenge for him to take my spot as the number 1 receiver.
Yeah, and that's how he should look at it. Both of them should.
Yeah.
And we talk about competition. Competition makes for better players in my eyes. If you're given something and you're not earning it, well, whatever. I think you go through the motions sometimes.
We talked about this last week too with Dorial Green-Beckham. Is you want to try to draw if you want to, you can try to draw the parallels between what happened with him and Chris Carter when Chris Carter was with the Eagles, and Buddy Ryan basically just released him and said, you have the opportunity to be a phenomenal receiver in this league, but it's not going to happen here. And they released him, and obviously he got himself cleaned up and he became a Hall of Famer. Now with Tennessee, is it a situation where Tennessee maybe did him a favor by trading him and saying, listen, you have the opportunity to be an absolute star in this league, but it's not going to happen here. Fresh start, who knows?
Well, the thing that is what we question is what happened there. What happened for them to give up on a second-round draft pick that was just drafted last year? that didn't have like a terrible rookie season. You know, what was the last straw that
A rookie quarterback who was more interested in running than throwing to his wide receivers, and when he did throw the ball, everything went to the tight end? I just think him and Marcus Mariota didn't play well in the sandbox together.
That might be it. Yeah. I mean, trading him for Dennis Kelly, I'd do that 1,000
every day and twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's not even a question.
So hopefully he does get that fresh start that he needs, and hopefully he can come here and be a superstar.
Well, their GM Robinson, Titans GM Robinson, who's a flat-out jackass.
Right.
You know, I mean, you should lose your job anytime.
Anytime you trade for DeMarco Murray.
Quote, I like his versatility in one Dennis Kelly. Of what? Like one side of the bench, the other side of the bench, handing over clipboards. I mean, what versatility does Dennis Kelly bring?
You list him first or last on the game day inactives.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he should get fired on the spot. But, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, maybe some of it is Mariota, but listen, Mariota's not that kind of guy. So if there's issues or problems in the sandbox with them too, it would have been all on Beckham.
Well, yeah, because he's not getting the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Mariota's demeanor and just the kind of guy he isn't that kind of guy. You know what I mean? I think that's why a lot of us wanted to trade up and get him because, you know, we thought he was a class act as a kid already. So, you know, I don't know what the issues were. Maybe they just got fed up with him.
It's possible.
We talk about they were fed up with his inconsistency too, but it's just interesting that teams are going to give up on wide receivers knowing the history of most wideouts, knowing the struggles the first year. It's just interesting to me that teams are going to give up on guys like that quick. You can't.
Yeah,
you can't.
For Dennis Kelly. Like,
yeah.
I was like, whoa, what's wrong there? What's wrong there? Why did they give him up?
Don't you think you need to give any rookie you draft in the first few rounds, I think, deserves 3 years?
3 years, yeah.
3 years to find out who they are. You know what I mean? Like, you talk about getting rid of – I heard it, you know, throughout the preseason. Oh, Eric Rowe. You know, Eric Rowe's not going to make this team. Stop it. Marcus Smith's not going to make the team. Stop it. You can't just go cutting these guys after 1 year or 2 years. You got to let it see what happens. Let them play actual playing time, and then you can judge if they're good enough or not good enough. But when you don't, like we talk about, when you don't see somebody play or they're not on the field, well, we don't know the reason what's going on behind closed doors, nor do we know if they can play or not. You know what I mean? And I think it's even more interesting. You're talking about these Eagles in a 53-man roster. What is going on with Lane Johnson? No news, good news. I mean, no news, bad news. I mean, what are we waiting on? Is it the B sample still? It doesn't take 3 weeks.
Yeah, I don't understand. Can they not get the cap off to test it? I don't understand. It makes no sense to me. It's the same freaking sample. Just tell us, just get it over with. They have to, like, prolong our suffering.
Look, it's what it is. Yes, exactly what it is.
You pee in 2 test tubes, you mark 1A, 1B, and you just move on with your life.
Yeah, then they gorilla glue. Yeah, then they gorilla glue B shut, so you can't even get it open now. I guess. I don't know what's going on.
Absolutely unbelievable.
He's just he's an idiot. He
and
really is.
This story came out today that Lane Johnson is getting more PO'd by the day by not hearing anything.
You're not the victim, Lane.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll play it to the death.
He's a pussy.
Yeah, he is.
I'm sorry to say it, just flat out call him a pussy, but he's a pussy.
I like your style, actually.
That's guys I don't want on my football team. That's guys I don't want when we talk about our Thanksgiving dinners, right? You know, I don't want the guy sulking in the corner because he got the cold piece of turkey. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And blaming the cook. You know, blaming the mother who cooked it. You know, that's the kind of guy he is. Always dishing out blame. Like Lane Johnson, kind of guy who cooks the turkey and then blames on everybody else that didn't come out right. You know, he's a blame game guy. Oh, the fans are billing us. Well, when you play like shit, that's what happens at every stadium around the NFL. Have you been to some games, right? So I don't want to hear that. Then it's Chip Kelly's fault. I mean, we talk about the timeline of Lane Johnson and ridiculous things. It's almost time to say
excuse.
I don't want excuse guys. Excuses don't win nothing.
Here's my question for you guys on this one. I mean, he was a Chip Kelly guy, right?
Supposedly, not according to him.
Well, he was a Chip Kelly guy while Chip was here, and then when Chip was gone, he talked all kinds of shit about him. But you wonder if maybe Jeff Lurie or Howie Roseman called the league office and just said, "Listen, bottom line, this guy gets suspended. That's second offense. We're not risking holding the contract for a third offense. If you suspend him, he's gone. We're cutting him." And there might be a little bit of backroom dealing going on to possibly mediate the suspension a little bit.
Is this amino acid gate? You know what I mean? And this is what it seems like. I mean, he's talking about suing the company that he got it from.
Pissgate.
Yeah, I mean, what is this? This is just, it's, oh my God, it's football, man.
Yeah.
I mean, know what you're putting in your body at all times.
Exactly. It doesn't even state. It states take at your own risk.
I mean,
So
like-
if you don't know and you ask them and they're like, "Well, we don't really know either. I don't know." But you do your own research at that point, or don't put it in your body. Don't be stupid. You're foolish.
Bottom line, if you're a professional athlete, if it don't come from your training staff, the only thing you should be putting in your body is goddamn Flintstones chewables.
Well, let me double that. let me double that. Where's the agent? Your guy just signed a big time deal, which is a lot of money in your pocket. Where are you through this process, knowing the history, right? I mean, where are you for your client?
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it there too.
Maybe he's the one who's
dishing out the aminos.
or pulling the strings behind the scenes to try to get his client not released.
Listen, I'm going to break it right now. I don't think Lane Johnson gets suspended, and I'll tell you why. Because it's going to be a drawn. At least not this year, because he'll draw it out. Appeals. Because he already said, I mean, I don't agree with him, but he's making himself out to be the victim. He said he's going to fight. He's going to go to court. He'll go to court over it. He'll take it as long as it has to go. So with that coming out and the league knowing that's coming out, and the league's going to have to deal with that, they don't want to deal with it. So he almost, through appeal processes, might play this whole season. And if there is a suspension, it could come next year. Just putting it out there now. I don't think it comes this year. It would have happened already.
Right, but here's the thing: if you're him, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
You fight it? Oh, yeah, of course.
When you saw all the absolute ridiculousness of Deflategate and how Brady just strung this thing along and got to play an entire season last year when everybody in the league knew that he was guilty of sin. He played an entire season last year and still looked like he was getting off. And then all of a sudden, a couple things flipped and bing, bang, boom, the suspension sticks.
Well, that's Tom Brady, and this is Lane Johnson.
Understood, but Lane Johnson's not the brightest knife in your kitchen drawer or the sharpest knife in your kitchen drawer. I may not be the brightest bulb in this room, but, it's, it becomes a imitation type of thing where you see other guys just drawing out the process and they're on the field and they're playing and they're making their money and the process just gets drawn out and drawn out and drawn out and.
Well, let me ask you. Let me follow up with this question.
Because here's the thing, though. Before you do that, Tommy,
don't you dare take what I'm going to say.
If he plays the full season this year,
I don't want him. If he's going to get suspended and still be on this football team, I want him to serve it this year because I don't want my rookie quarterback next year without Lane Johnson. Mm-hmm. Truthfully, as much as I hate all the other shit he's doing, I don't want my guy who's going to get his first start essentially next year, as the Eagles are telling us, right? I don't want him starting without a bookend right tackle.
I don't disagree with you, but here's the thing: his signing bonus gets split in, amongst multiple seasons. So if he plays his whole season and he doesn't get suspended, he's getting paid his salary plus whatever piece of that signing bonus he was going to make this year.
Yep.
So if his suspension doesn't kick in until next year, well, he's already got that nice chunk of change, and he can't forfeit it because he played. He's earned that money. So then if he gets suspended next year and the Eagles say, well, you got suspended contractually, you have to forfeit your signing bonus, well, he's only forfeiting a portion of that signing bonus because it's prorated out.
Yeah, I mean,
so this is all about the money.
And it's all about the fact that we talked when Mark Eckel was on a few weeks back, we talked about the fact that if he is suspended this time, he can never get a guaranteed contract again in terms of signing bonus money, guaranteed money. It's out the door.
Right.
It's all by results-driven contracts. So that's a big chunk to him and his agent to fight this too, because you don't want to go down that road where there's no guaranteed money for your client anymore, and for your client in this league at the injury rate, which is 100%. You don't want to go in without guaranteed money,
and especially now, even. If he gets caught again after this, that's 2 years and probably the end of his NFL career. So,
you don't come back from a 2-year suspension.
No. But if he's going to serve the 10 games, as you said, I would want him to start week 1 this year.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw Carson Wentz. Let Bradford take the hits. Whatever. I don't care about Bradford anymore. You know what I mean? So, got to protect Wentz. He needs to be there when Wentz is in.
No, I completely agree with that. Well, let's. Every week, this happens, and we might change our mind on certain, opinions and stuff like that. And we're going into week 3, And this is the big dress rehearsal, as they like to say, for the NFL season. Going to be a lot of games on Sunday this weekend that you're going to get a lot of dose of what's coming in a few weeks here. But my question to you guys is, before we hit the break, is I want to know, what's your win-loss total now? Or we can just go more or less. We just play a game of more or less where I give you a number and you guys tell me more or less. We could do that one. So I'm going to stick it right at 9.
Less.
9 wins, more or less.
Less.
Both of you
Less.
have drifted the other way here.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
No, not for me.
I said 9.
You said 9. Where have you been this whole time?
Because I had them
8.
I had them 6-10 the very first time we did this, going back a couple months ago. I had them at 6-10 after the draft. I had them at 7-9 a couple weeks ago. I'm now at 8-8.
So you're working your way up the ladder.
I'm working my way up, but I'm still below 9.
Dan, and you're going down?
Yeah.
Wow.
Torn between 7 and 8. I mean, the Lane Johnson thing worries me. The offensive line worries me.
I felt a lot of positivity out of you.
You know what?
Too. I was really feeling positive about it.
When people talk about like the pessimistic Philadelphia Eagles fans, they just have a wanted poster with Danny's picture on it.
I feel like I feel like I'm more. I really do. I feel more. I don't feel a lot more.
You go to 12-4?
No, I feel that 10-6 mark. I really do. I feel like they can win this division. This division stinks. This is why. If they're healthy, they can play. This division isn't overwhelmingly good here. I mean, is Dak Prescott playing? Because everybody's crowning his goddamn ass.
I was going to say,
no.
If Dak Prescott starts for Dallas, look out.
I mean, you got to listen. Say what you want about Tony Romo, but he's an elite quarterback in his goddamn league. And I'm not going to. What I'm not going to allow is nonsense being spewed out by medias that Dak Prescott is like better than Tony Romo right now. After 2 preseason games, just stop it. We can't. We've learned ourselves here in Philadelphia.
Exactly.
You can't crown after preseason games. They mean nothing. And I argue with the guys on agree to disagree, and I don't give a rat's ass because I'm still right about it with Mr. Wilson. But the speed of the game is not the same in preseason weeks 1 and 2 as it is for week 1 of the regular season.
Not even
they
close.
gear up. They gear up. One, it's vanilla, like he mentioned, which he did say it's vanilla, which makes the game easier. Your reads easier, and the speed's different. It's just different. So Dak Prescott, all the tools in the world. All right, kudos to the kid. Whatever. I hope he gets hurt because he's a Cowboy. But at the end of the day, like, there's talent there. I get it. But relax. If you have a franchise quarterback, I know he's had some issues staying healthy, but Roman's a good quarterback in this league. A lot of teams
he's good. He's not elite. I can't call him elite. You win more than 2 playoff games in your entire career if you're elite.
But he's a top 10 in the league right now.
Yeah.
And he's a guy who's thrown for over 500 yards in his career multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a fraud. I mean, some of it's Romo, and other of it's been a lot of pressure on Tony Romo, too, in Dallas for a long time, where he really hasn't had a great supporting cast for too long. The year he did with Dez and DeMarco, that was the year when they took it out of Tony's hands and really ran DeMarco into the ground. That was a successful year from Tony Romo because, one, not as many interceptions. Mm-hmm. He controlled the ball better, but he still brought you the ability to sling it around the yard. But they use their offensive line to their advantage.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on the weapons situation because, I mean, this is a guy over the course of his career.
I'm talking defensive weapons.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I mean, this is a guy he's been able to throw the ball to Joey Galloway, Keyshawn Johnson, Terrell Owens, Des Bryant. He's had Jason Witten as his tight end for forever.
It's not his weapons on offense.
No. I mean, so I get what you're saying now, but I mean, this is a guy who's had plenty of toys, and he's used them well.
Yeah, they never had a defense. They haven't had a defense over his history there. It's been real bad. And I'm not, like, sticking up for Tony Romo by any stretch. I'm just saying Dak Prescott, just relax. You know what I mean? If Jared Goff and Carson Wentz aren't starting for their respective teams, what makes you think Dak Prescott's going to go take over for Tony Romo? I mean, we're talking about Case freaking Keenum and Sam goddamn Bradford. This is what's wrong with the NFL. Before we go to break, because now I got a problem with this. How the fuck are the number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks taken in the draft can't beat out Case Keenum or whatever other slop they're running out in L.A. now and Sam Bradford? I get the Sam Bradford a little more than I get whatever he's doing over there in L.A. I can't wrap my head around it. How do you take a guy 1? He doesn't start for you.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
He's dropping on the depth chart because there's fumble issues. You didn't know about the fumble issues with his goddamn baby hands when you drafted him?
Go through the first round. Paxton Lynch not going to start over Trevor Siemian and Mark Sanchez in Denver.
Yeah. Jump off a mountain. Just go jump off without skis. Just jump off the mountain.
Christian Hackenberg making sandwiches.
Hackenberg.
As the third stringer in New York, making sandwiches.
We went to that freaking game, then Penn State crumbs. Just a tip for them guys.
Good Lord.
I hate everything about Penn State and their crumb fan base. The people around here, we are 4 for 4, okay? And this is what I hate about the area we live in. And I guess I can sense the cockroaches all around us, right? And this is what's wrong. And we're trying to make Philly great again. We're the boys of Philly reason, right? And the big part of it is these crumbs who want to act like, I'm a soccer fan. Stop it, dude. All right? Anybody who posts about soccer,
Sean Brace.
anybody out there, him too, or anybody else out there, even friends of my timeline, that act like they love the Premier League and all this other crap, stop it.
Yeah,
there's nothing about 2-1 that's ever been exciting.
There's people.
Ever.
There's people that try to make me a soccer fan.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna like it. Just stop.
How about no and no?
Yeah, they're like, no, trust me. Once you give it a chance, I'm sure you'll like it. Well, up yours, I don't.
I mean, listen,
Temple could have a goddamn parade here, and I still don't care.
Yeah.
You understand? Penn State could win it all. I don't care.
I'm not gonna.
I was not raised.
Oh, I hear you.
And listen, I know you like Penn State.
I got family ties.
But it's different. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're raised like Noah, for instance, who was on Fix earlier. Noah was raised around Penn State football. That's a different story. I'm talking about the guys who just want to hop on because they're in the area. I'm a Penn State guy. Grow up. All right, grow up, Peter Pan, because you're not. You're a child.
But then Temple beat Penn State, and then all of a sudden he went and had his Temple football T-shirt on the next day.
Like Navo moves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody got time for that. Nobody has time for that. But it's the truth. Like we're not. Most of us are not. Like my dad had no allegiances to Temple or Penn State, so I grew up 4 for 4. That's where my allegiances lied. I'm not going to try to be a Union fan to be cute and with a niche goddamn sport.
Well, that's what I was going to say to you. I mean, I've never been to a Union game.
Everything about the French suck.
I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I actually do want to go to one. But I want to go to one not for what's on the field. I want to go to the party.
That's a different story.
Because they said the tailgate for those things is supposedly unbelievable.
Yeah, if I'm going to a Union game, I'm blacked out drunk.
That's what
I don't want to know what happened.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I want it to feel like it was 10-8.
I want to hear people chanting Latou, and I'm going to think it's like some awesome song in my head.
Like, dude, even going to the lacrosse.
Robbie.
Indoor lacrosse.
That shit was fun.
What the hell are they
That was
called?
fun. The Wings.
The Wings, right?
That was fun.
It's fun to go to because why? It's a lot of scoring going on. It's not freaking soccer.
Right.
Just the soccer shit drives me crazy.
Well, all right.
Or I'm a Nova fan.
All right. So
since when?
This Friday, you got the Philadelphia Soul play in the Arena Bowl.
No chance.
But that's the thing. It's another niche. Like you watch that live, and it's fun as hell to go to a game live. You can't go to more than one a season.
No.
Because it's not a real sport.
Yeah, you're lucky if I even watched one. But there's people out there that actually write about it. Like, really? Write about the Soul? Nobody cares.
And going back to your 4 for 4 thing, I'm not big into college football. I'll admit that. I didn't grow up with a college football team. And so everyone that loves it, that's good for you. But I'm more of a pro guy. I'm more of the 4 for 4 kind of guy. Too. But then I get all my friends, you got to get into college football. You got to. It's just
why?
I just don't really want to.
Fazul time.
I'll watch it on Saturday. Don't get me wrong, but I don't have a rooting interest in it.
It's like a lead-in.
Yeah,
that's what it is. I mean, what I watch.
It's like your appetizer.
You know what gets me is I like SEC football. Mm-hmm. I like the whole conference. They're games that lock me in.
To me,
you know what I mean?
But to me, that doesn't even count as college.
It's
it's like watching minor league baseball.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the next level, and I enjoy watching that, but I'm not going to base my Saturdays over college football like I do Sundays. Like Sundays, it shuts down. Baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We are shutting it down.
Sun up to sundown.
Shut down.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Start
Saturdays
drinking at 12 o'clock. The rest of the day, just watching football.
What do you want me to freaking, magic eraser the whole goddamn house on Saturday? Done and done. You know what I mean?
You're
Sunday, no conversations.
You're not watching a Mountain West Conference game at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night.
If there's Fazuls, which there is, then yes, I am. So my interest lies in college football is strictly dollars and cents. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I don't gamble a lot, but I'll do that where I'll throw $10 on the 10 o'clock game just for interest. You understand? Because I don't have a favorite team. So sometimes to be able to watch a whole game,
come on,
you need the extra push.
But you're not
right?
you're not watching that game. You're going to lay your 10, and then you're going to flip back and forth between that game and Sports Center because that game is not going to hold your attention.
It depends who's playing.
It's Mountain West. Who gives a shit?
I know, but it's something whatever. You know what I'm saying? No, that's where my college interest lies at. Fazools, and it's that simple.
Yeah.
Throw a few bucks around and call it a day. And hopefully you leave on top. And that's what gets me locked into more of them. And then I can follow it better. Because just to be able to say, I'm jacked.
And then you roll your winnings into Sunday.
Well, then it becomes losings because the NFL is the hardest thing to gamble on in the world.
Right.
The only other thing I like about college football is it's like a stress reliever. Because when I'm watching the Eagles, it's anything but stress-free.
Yeah.
I'm on the edge of my seat. My blood pressure's 280. And I'm I'm sweating.
Sweating.
So, it's nice to just see a game that you have no root and interest for.
And you see some good co-eds. It's just a pleasure. Yeah. It really is. The pleasure's all mine. And that's what college football is great. The shots to the crowds, right? The student sections. That's what college football is fun about. But at the end of the day, I don't give a rat's ass. National championship's cool. Now you got 4 teams. That makes it more fun at the end of the year. But whatever.
Still go back to Brent Musburger and McCarron's girlfriend.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You just point out the obvious.
Yep.
Just point out the goddamn obvious.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
For another side, we're going to talk about the radio wars here in Philadelphia. We're also going to touch on the Phillies expanding to a 40-man roster and whatever the hell else we want to talk about here on Tom and Mike AM and the PM. Only on the worldwide leader of Real Talk, HUDRadio.com. And this segment was brought to you by our Wednesday night show sponsor, Gibson Mayer LLC. Your certified public accountant. Find them on the web, GibsonMayer.com, and also BMW of Atlantic City. And this month they challenge their sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience. It's closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City. Easy to get to. Minutes off exit 37 on the Parkway. Online, BMW of AtlanticCity.com.
HUDRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet, located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey, with over 40 years of customer experience giving the latest in uniforms and equipment to sports enthusiasts of baseball, softball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or send them an email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit their website at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all of your sporting needs.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. $125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there.
Question of the night here on Time of My Game in the PM is, do you think our tractor's sexy? A little country music to come into. Come on, you don't know that one?
I think our country girl is sexy. I don't know about that.
Whoa!
Oh, she knows it. Come
You
on.
never heard that country song? Like, you think my tractor's sexy?
Dude, who listens to country music?
I listen to country music.
My wife does. I
You're a-
can't get into it.
It's a violation.
Whatever. Violate me all you want. Got him.
I got nothing. You're just like, violate me all you want, and I'm waiting for the witty comeback to come out of my mouth, and it's not there.
And it's not there.
It's just not there.
Every Wednesday, Tom,
Mike,
AM.
in the PM.
It's brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, your certified public accountant. Find them on the web, gibsonmayer.com.
Big
And
shout out to Jim Gibson.
Jim Gibson. I can't believe we weren't Facebook friends until today. Because, like, I see him all over. I thought we were buddies on the book. We weren't. But our poll question, you can still vote on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. A2D Radio is where you can find us. The Eagles signing of Stephen Tulloch means what? More linebacker depth? I hate that word. Goodbye, Michael Kendricks. A
Depth.
fantastic defense. Or still undecided. Dan, you were
More depth.
more depth.
Bye-bye, Michael Kendricks.
Bye-bye, Michael Kendricks. I was with Dan, more depth. Like I say that word 5 more freaking times because it's just doing that to me. That was brought to you by Scanzano Sports. Find them on the web, scanzanosports.com. We broke down some of the 53-man roster. We talked a little bit about Lane Johnson. We talked a lot about Dorial Green-Beckham and Stephen Tulloch and pretty much the whole defense as a whole and just some of the 53-man roster guys that we think are going to make this team. You can go back and listen to all that when the show's over. Everything's on demand on our site. That's what we do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, too, for alerts on when shows go off. Follow it all, baby. The worldwide leader of Real Talk. We'll be talking Radio Wars towards the end of the show, actually at the end of the show. But
Can I do something for a second?
yeah, do
Well,
it, and then I got to give one more read.
I want to educate the people for a second. What is the difference between internet radio and a podcast? A podcast is taped and uploaded later with no live interaction with either callers, the web, anything. Internet radio, which is what we do, is live. You are listening to us right now, 10:03 p.m. on a Wednesday night. You want to call us, you call. You want to hit us up on the web, you hit us up on the web. But our show is also available for you on demand after the fact. So the next jag-off that says, oh, you got a nice little podcast going on there, I'm going to smack you upside your head.
Yeah, I don't do the podcast wording too often. I'm not a big believer in that. But that being said,
Danny almost just hung himself.
well, yeah, you got to turn the fan off. No,
Thanks, brother. I'm
no
like,
biggie.
I feel like I'm in a wind tunnel over here. I can hear it coming through my microphone.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, you're in a bad
almost
I'm in a
Thanks
bad,
to me.
in a bad spot.
You're in a bad freaking location. But so that's what we talked about. We talked a lot of Eagles, actually all Eagles. We talked about a little Dak Prescott and a few other things, a little Romo, a little Cowboys. You know, no love affair here. You know what I'm saying? But we chatted about them.
No, but for the people that say we don't ever talk Cowboys, well, guess what? We just did.
First off, public freaking service announcement to all the geniuses out there. A2D Radio is not only local, it is national. It is worldwide. We have followers in freaking Brazil with Mexico. This isn't just Philly sports talk. This is the worldwide leader of sports talk. This isn't just here in Philly. It's where people are dropping a boat. They all want to market just locally. You know, don't what do you want to just stick on be a niche, you know, blogger or these niche sites that are local. There's too much competition. Go nationwide, baby. Go worldwide. It doesn't stop just here. So the guys on other shows that say, oh, they only know Philly sports, you're freaking clueless because it's 50% national, 50% local. This is how we roll here. Jesus Christ.
Well, we
I got
got
to keep repeating myself to people.
we got guys that are interested in coming on our airwaves with us, and they say, well, I'm a Pittsburgh sports fan. I could just give you the outsider's view on the Philly sports. No, do a Pittsburgh show. Do what you want.
Exactly. Do a Pittsburgh show. We don't want we don't want
We'll
you to
come
go out
smack you around a little bit.
Yeah, we
but
don't want you to go out your comfort zone. But we're not just local. We're not just local here in Philly.
I'll talk Pirates. I like a little Kutch.
We'll talk it all. That's the problem. The guys don't understand. They think we're just here in Philly. It's not just here.
Well, we are just here in Philly, but we'll talk about anything.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you can find us anywhere in the world.
Well, yeah, that's kind of a given.
Well, some people it's not a given. Mike.
Well, there's a little www dot before a2dradio.com.
Yeah, if you never heard of it.
If
Moving
you
on.
don't know, now you know.
Talking Phils, and that's brought to you by the Sports Outlet, Glendora, New Jersey. You can find them on the web, sportsoutletinc.com, or give them a call, 856-939-2030. Tell Frankie Tomerno from A2D Radio sent you. He'll freaking take care of you. That's a goddamn promise. That's promises made, right? Do other stations make promises around here? And that's all part of the radio wars coming up here in a little bit. But talking about the Phils, little Phils talk, little 40-man roster expansion coming up here in September, right around my birthday. Do I get J.P. Crawford for my birthday, Mr. Mataraki? Tell us who you think is the 40-man. We'll give you a yes or no's.
All right, so I'm going to run down some names here.
Birthday cake?
And just both of you guys.
Real quick, can I get J.P. Crawford coming out of the cake? That's all I want. He's jumping out of the cake.
Depends.
Mr. President.
What uniform is he wearing?
That's what you want, man.
That's what you want.
or is he? Hi-oh. All right, so we'll go with the obvious ones first.
As long as
okay?
he's leading off, I'm fine with it. Go ahead.
All right. So outfielders. 2 men currently on the 40-man roster that are not on the Phillies roster are Cody Ashe and Roman Quinn. Danny, Roman Quinn, Cody Ashe. Yes, no, one or the other. What do you think?
I would take Cody Ashe probably.
You think Cody Ashe comes back from AAA? And what about Roman Quinn? Tough one with the injuries and stuff like that.
I don't really know.
You're going to say no? All right. What do you think, Tommy?
Well, time to show, Mr. Quinn. I've seen enough of Cody Ashe. I know what Cody Ashe is. For the love of God, don't give me Cody Ashe again. Don't put me through there's some people around here, and these were the morons come out, the baby Chase Utley, as some people like to say back in the day. Cody Ashe stinks. He's not a Major League Baseball player. He has no right coming up here over a kid like Roman Quinn. Let's see what Roman Quinn is at the big league level, please. We've heard about him for freaking 5 years now. Let's see Roman Quinn, see what we have, because we know what Cody Ashe is, and he stinks.
Strategically, I just say yes to both of them. They're already on the 40-man. Cody Ashe's already making a major league salary. I think they both come up.
All right, that's fine. I thought it was one or the other.
No. I mean, it's you could say yes or no to both. I mean,
okay.
I mean, at this point, the roster goes to 40, so they can.
I would rather keep it at 39 and throw Cody Ashe off the freaking wall.
You know what? There's probably a lot of people that would go there with you. Infielders currently on the 40-man that are not on the active roster. You have Andres Blanco, who's on the 15-day DL. I think it's pretty much a given that as soon as he is cleared and healthy, he immediately comes off the DL. And he may not even do a rehab assignment. He may just come right back to the Phillies. And then you've got 3 other guys that everyone in Philadelphia should be familiar with. Taylor Featherston, who was just here and sent down. Darren Ruff, who was here earlier this year and sent down. And then a guy, Darnell Sweeney, who, Tommy, you and I were actually kind of high on, during the offseason and didn't make the team out of spring training and has basically just been an okay minor league infielder for Lehigh Valley this season. So, Danny, I'll turn to you again. I'm assuming based on prior conversations – you're going no on Sweeney.
Yeah.
Okay. What about Ruff? You think he comes back?
Nah, I'm sick of him.
Okay.
I'm sick and tired of him.
Okay. You're sick and tired of him, but do you think the team brings him back?
Probably.
Okay. And then Featherston, I think they'd bring him up just to have the additional speed off the bench. So, Tommy, Featherston, Ruff, Sweeney, what do you think?
Featherston, yes. Ruff, Sweeney, no.
Ooh, you think they're done with Ruff?
They got to be.
Interesting.
It's the Cody Ashe effect. The time we've seen enough. See enough of Darren Ruff. Know who he is. So I would rather see somebody else take that time and see what they are.
Oh, okay.
Than him.
Now this becomes our first of a couple dilemmas that we're going to have. There's only 3 catchers on the entire 40-man roster: Carlos Ruiz, Cameron Rupp, and Jorge Alfaro. I'm going to say no on Alfaro, not because I don't want to see him. I just don't think that they're going to bring him up. Danny, what do you think? I mean, he's a top 5 prospect, but he's at AA.
Yeah. I don't know. You think they might be done with Carlos?
I actually, what's interesting that you brought that up, because I just read earlier that Carlos Ruiz has cleared waivers. Actually, so did Ryan Howard. And there have been trade talks initiated for Carlos Ruiz. So if he gets traded, then I think this becomes a no-brainer. I think you see Andrew Knapp get added to the 40-man, and Andrew Knapp gets the majority of the work through September, and Alfaro doesn't come up. I think if Carlos is still here, it becomes an interesting situation, because you'd want Alfaro to get to work with him. I just don't know that they want him to get that many reps in his first full year in the organization.
Well, you could, with the 3 catchers, and if Alfaro's the guy, and I think I call him up. If you're asking me what I do, I'm calling him up.
Right.
Because,
well, I know you love him.
mean, if I can get him in 10 games through the month of September, that's a win for me.
Right.
That's how I look at it. It's a win because I get to get some major league experience, some at bats, and let him work with Carlos Ruiz and Cameron Rupp, who I think is a good catcher too. So he gets to work with these guys a little bit. So I think, I bring him up. I give him a chance.
Do you bump one of these other guys off of the 40-man roster to clear a space for Andrew Knapp and bring him up too?
And go with a 4 spot or
4 catchers and through September and
I would bump me personally.
Okay.
I want to see the kids.
So, say somebody like a Darren Ruff or a Cody Ashley just gets outrighted off the roster,
just
and
gone.
You add Andrew Knapp. I'd be good with that. I'd be very good with that, actually.
Because there's my Crawford and there's my Knapp.
Well, yeah, I mean,
there it is. There's them 2 guys are not on my 40-man, and they're the 2 guys who I put on instead of them.
Well, you also still have the Nick Williams situation, because he's not on the 40 either.
Well, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to
we'll
him.
Get to
right?
him, but yeah. So we got let's go through some pitchers, and I'm not gonna group these. I'm just gonna go yes, no on all of these guys, and Tommy, I'm gonna turn to you on this one. And like I said, we'll just run through some of these pitchers, and we'll go yes, no.
Yeah.
First one right out of the gate is a real interesting situation. Alec Asher. Alec Asher's suspension is up on September 4th, which is the final day of the minor league regular season. Because he was suspended, he's not eligible to pitch in any minor league playoff games. So once his suspension is up, he either has to come to the Phillies or go to the Florida Instructional League. What do you do?
Bring him up.
So do I. Good call by you.
Bring him up.
All right. Guy who's been up a couple times this year, Elvis Araujo. Bullpen help.
Now bring him up. You
All
can't,
right.
You need these guys.
Yeah.
To, give. You're not in a race right now. You don't wear these guys out.
David Buchanan.
No.
Even with the struggles with Jake Thompson.
Again, Dave Buchanan's a guy I would like to throw off a bridge
Okay.
too. He's in the category with my Ruff and my Ashley.
I'm perfectly fine with that. I really am. I don't disagree with the opinion. I think of it in terms of if they decide that Jake Thompson is just not getting it done for them and they want to shut him down, where do they turn to? I think that's got to be the guy.
Well, there's your Alec Ashley maybe.
And that's a good possibility as well.
Your Ben Lively, which you'll get to.
Real interesting name here. Jimmy Cordero. This is a guy who he bounces back and forth between levels of the minor leagues. I mean, he goes single A, double A, triple A in one season. A lot of it depends on his health. But this is a guy who throws high 90s. What do you think? Jimmy Cordero.
Yeah.
I'm with it. I'm bringing him up too.
Reliever?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have too many.
Luis Garcia.
Yeah.
Okay. Dalier Hinojosa.
Yeah.
Phil Klein.
No.
I bring up Klein just to reward him for taking the bullet a couple weeks ago.
All right, that's fair enough.
Colton Murray? He's been up this year.
Yeah,
He's not a new guy.
I'll say he comes back up there.
All right, and then
they're going to really try to expand that bullpen a lot. So.
I think so too. I think you're going to see you're probably going to see 4 or 5 different guys throwing every night.
Oh yeah, they're going to really shut some of these guys down.
Yeah, and then they have a guy that they just claimed off of waivers last week or the week before. I think it was the 12th from Oakland, Patrick Schuster, who's on the 40-man. Because they claimed off waivers,
so
they had to protect him, right?
Then he's up.
Then he's probably up too.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that. So realistically, based on the current 40-man, we've got them expanding to 38, which leaves 2 spots. And there's 2 guys down at AAA, one Mr. Nick Williams and one Mr. J.P. Crawford that we've decided that we wanted to see. Do you think the Phillies bite the bullet, add him to the 40-man, knowing that they have to protect him next year?
They better. I mean, they fight out better. There's no excuse for it. I don't want to, I understand the protection game. I understand the business side of it. We've talked about it
ad nauseum.
And I don't want to go too deep into it, but people are just joining us. I mean, they need to bring this kid up. This is your number 1 prospect. It's not somebody you worry about protecting because guess what? You don't have to protect him because you're not sending him back down next year. He's starting. Like if you had to send him back down or if it was even a thought in your mind that you would, then I wrap my head around it a little bit better, but I'm still going to protect him. So if I bring him up, if he's going to be here in April as my starting shortstop, then yes, bring him up. Let the kid play a little bit. Same thing with Nick Williams. But we're both of them. They need to be up. They need to play. Okay, yeah. Aaron Altair is an okay player in this league. He has potential to be a really good player. I'm not saying he doesn't, but with the amount of how deep this outfield is in the minor leagues, he's a guy who just isn't going to be a part of this in the future. And for all the guys out there that love Aaron Altair, there's just no room for him. Mickey's going to get every chance to be the starting center fielder for this baseball team, right? Nick Williams is going to get every chance to be the starting right fielder for this baseball team. People can say what they want. Odubel Herrera is going to get every chance to play a corner outfield spot for this baseball team. It's just that simple.
And Dylan Cousins is knocking on the door.
Yeah, and then you're going to have to make these decisions on these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's good problems to have.
Well, the question really this is what I want to ask you, okay, because you're not going to get a king's ransom for your Rhys Hoskins and your Dylan Cousins right now. I know they're hitting the cover off the ball, but you're not going to get back what you're looking for with them two just because of where they rank in your prospect list, right? Would you be at all interested in packaging a Nick Williams and a Randolph and some of these other guys, knowing that you're so deep in the outfield, for a guy that not only throws mid-90s but can go over 7 innings? So you try to package some of these kids and go get yourself a number 2 starter in this league. Somebody that can help these kids. Somebody who's 26, 27 that you can have here for 5-6 years. Are you at all interested in a move like that because of how deep it is?
I will tell you the answer to that question is yes. I'm highly interested, but not yet.
Not yet, okay.
And the reason that I say that is I don't want either Rhys Hoskins or Dylan Cousins to turn into the next Darren Ruff.
Yep.
I want to see them go to AAA next year and do it for another 2 or 3 months at the AAA level and then say, okay, these guys are now knocking on the door. Presumably, I have Herrera, Altair, Nick Williams in the outfield at the major league level next year.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
on them 3.
Okay, so who can I now package? Is it Nick Williams because he, like you said, he's the number 3, number 4 prospect in the organization?
You're going to get a lot back.
Yeah, I mean, is it Nick Williams? Is it the name that you hate hearing in trade talks? Is it Herrera? And if it is Herrera, you better be getting at least a number 2 starter back.
Yeah,
if
agreed.
You're including him in the package. But then it's like we talked about way back when we were looking at the Mike Trout situation. Is you kind of target who you want to go after, and then you have to figure out which pieces it's going to take to land your target. But am I open to that deal? Absolutely. In fact, I cracked up last night when I was out at Lakewood, and I sent you the picture of Cornelius Randolph, and I'm like, he's got 2 hits tonight, and you're like, great, we got 27 outfielders.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Cornelius Randolph too. And I mean, you know that, Mike.
He bumped the batting average up from 220 about a month and a half ago, and now he's all the way up to 279.
Can we finally?
Guy's raking.
Yeah, can we finally say that you're okay with one Cesar Hernandez as your everyday second baseman next year? That you don't have to go outside the organization right now to try to find one.
I don't think it's next year. I'm perfectly fine with it.
Listen, if this production keeps up, I don't think you.
I know you don't think Scott Kingery takes the job.
No, the kid hits. I mean, he's hitting at the major league level. He's batting 297. He hit another home run tonight. He's 2 for 4 tonight again. I mean, and this is at the top of the lineup. He's just hitting. You know, as much as I love Herrera at the top of the lineup, I mean, what can you say about a kid who's?
I hear you. He's so dumb though.
I understand that, and them kind of things to help a baseball sense can teach that kind of stuff. You can't teach a kid to bat close to 300 and the ability to hit doubles like he does, and just the flat out speed he brings to your lineup. He can do a lot of things. So that's exciting to me.
It's absolutely exciting.
Tommy Joseph's hitting his 17th home run tonight. Phillies are up 4-2.
The production out of the first baseman.
That's exciting.
It's unbelievable.
Eichhoff went 6, gave up 2, struck out 2. I mean, again, the concern here for the Philadelphia Phillies moving forward in terms of your rotation is besides Velasquez, who again I don't think is a top 5 starter in this league right now. Okay, besides him, you don't have anybody, blowing up the radar gun.
No, I mean you got.
And I don't know if you can get away with 5 starters who are nibblers,
No.
essentially.
No, I
who
mean,
have to hit every spot.
You're absolutely right. And I think what I want to see next year in spring training is, does a guy like Asher come back completely clean, pitching the way that we think he can? Does a guy like Zach Eflin come back healthy and pitch the way he did at AAA this year that earned him the promotion? Jake Thompson, does he get his act straightened out? Is Aaron Nola healthy? A guy like Ben Lively, is he ready to take that next step? Is Nick Pivetta, who, I mean, the Nationals
stole him.
The Nationals released Jonathan Papelbon, and we got Nick Pivetta pitching at AAA to a 1.74 ERA right now. And that's a steal. Thanks, Ruben.
Yeah. Well, listen, I take a lot of heat for it. I was a big Ruben guy. I thought he really turned over this organization, turned a new leaf over here. I knew he was going to be the lame duck in the situation. And I'll say it a million times that the day I freaking die or the day I stop doing radio is that Ruben Amaro was the scapegoat. David Montgomery was the one who wanted to go all in and went all in for pitching, which we were all great with, but we gave up a lot in that situation.
Yep.
And when injuries creeped in and the pitchers got old, you had to smell that was coming. I mean, it's just natural. When your team gets old, then you got to rebuild again. Okay? And he did a real good job, Ruben, of revamping this farm system. I mean, we talk about fleecing, Sam Mickey died for our sins type shit. Well, Ruben did the same thing. I mean, when he traded Cole Hamels, he got a boatload back. Now, who makes it, right? We look at Nick Williams, we hope so. We look at Thompson was in that deal too. We don't know. I mean, the jury's still out on Jake Thompson, but again, a guy who has hit spots in this league. Not a guy who's going to rev it up to 95. And I think at some point, with a guy like Vincent Velasquez, he needs to get moved to the bullpen. He needs to be a closer in this league. If you watch Vincent Velasquez the first 2 innings of games, he's dominant. He's flat out dominant. Mm-hmm. Okay, but the second, third time through, when you're just Mr. Fastball at this level and you start wearing down, because you see it all the time, Mike, right? Full count, second time through, full counts, right? Well, when your all-speed pitch is only 5 mile an hour difference, you're not a starter.
No.
You're just not. People talk about Cole Hamels having 2 pitches back in the day, Danny, right? He had 2 pitches, but
one was 94 and one was 78.
Yes, you have to keep guys off balance. And for a guy like Vincent Velasquez, doesn't he have the makeup of a closer to you? His demeanor, a guy that can go out and throw 12 pitches all he has.
He's going to snarl at you.
Yeah. You can get away with missing at 99 1 inning. You know what I'm saying? One inning, you can sneak through and get away with that. You think Chapman hits all his spots? No. But for 1 inning, he's coming in and throwing as hard as he can. Now, guys turn him around sometimes. It happens. But I think Velasquez, for the sake of his career and the way we're moving as an organization, I think he's built to be a shutdown closer in this league. I just think that you can learn throwing another pitch as a closer easier than as a starter. And trusting it, right, Mike?
Oh,
to
no
throw for
question.
7 innings instead of throwing it for 1 inning. So I think a lot of it, that's a big factor in moving forward here. Because guess what, Mike? Like you talked about, Lively, Pavetta, the other kid that you mentioned that got suspended.
Asher.
Yeah. I mean, that's 3 more guys down in the minors that are knocking on the door
Right,
to come
and
up.
that's
So
the
what
thing
do you
is,
do
like,
with all of them?
With me, like, all the young guns for this year, it didn't pan out the way it was supposed to. I mean, like you said, Velasquez has got hit around. Nola the injuries, Eflin the injuries, Thompson's off to a slow start. Eichhoff to me, I get the fact that he's 7-12, 6-13, whatever his record is. He's got an ERA under 4.
He's been the best one.
He's been the best one. He's been the most consistent.
Yeah.
And he's healthy. But I still think that there's just, I look at the situation and there's still just tons and tons and tons of potential there. And I'm not ready to give up on any of these young arms yet.
Not yet.
I am on board with, you want to move Vince Velasquez to the bullpen and try him out as a closer? I would absolutely be on board with that. I had no issue there at all.
Do you feel, as an organization, right, because we have to look at everything, outside our box and look at how they think. If they moved into a closer, trading a closer to try to get a starting pitcher to the organization, is that a fail? Is this? These may be reasons behind the scenes that you won't see something like that, even though we feel that it's best for the team and him, that you won't see stuff like that because guess what? You want to feel like that you broke even on a deal or that you didn't get what you expected. Some of them things may come into factor sometimes.
But it winds up becoming a wash, though, because, if you trade Ken Giles and Velasquez winds up becoming a closer and you still have Oberholtz, well, you had Oberholtzer in the system, but the lower level minor league guys, as they start to work their way up, I think it just winds up becoming a wash at some point. But
yeah. Well, what about trading? We talked about. What about putting Nick Williams?
I had no problem with it.
Some of the other prospects and try to really, go after the team you're playing tonight, the Chicago White Sox, and try to get yourself a Chris Sale.
Well, let me rewind the.
You're ready to compete next year. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not ready to. I don't have another year in me.
Let me turn back.
Let
me turn back the calendar on you guys for a minute here, because I just want to ask the question of you guys, and this is a debate that I have all the time when people talk about how Ruben Amaro Jr. made such bad trades, and he left the organization so much more, so much worse than he found it. Well, all right, number one, screw you. He took over a world championship team, and he didn't leave it better, or he didn't leave it worse than he found it. The freaking cupboard is stocked right now. But I want to know this: who did Ruben Amaro trade away from the Phillies, who was originally a Philly? So somebody who came up through the Philly system that everybody was high on, and Ruben included him in the deal. Who did he get rid of that became an all-star somewhere?
None.
Nobody. Not one person.
Guys who were just guys.
The only person that he traded that did anything when they went anywhere was Hunter Pence. And Hunter Pence just very clearly was not cut out to play in Philadelphia.
It wasn't that, Mike. It was the injuries with guys around him.
And he tried to do too much.
And you force Hunter Pence in the bat in like the 4-hole. It's just not what he was. He's a great role player. He's a tough-nosed guy. I think we all love Hunter Pence. But there was, like you said, there was a lot of pressure on Hunter Pence to succeed here, especially when, you had your Howard injury and other injuries like that. It's a big part of it.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go into a little radio wars in 1 second. And if you're just joining us, you can still vote on our poll question, and that's brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City, right off exit 37 of the Parkway. You can find them online, bmwofatlanticcity.com, and our poll question. The Eagles signing Stephen Tulloch means more linebacker depth. Goodbye, Michael Kendricks. A fantastic defense still undecided. You can vote Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. A2D Radio is where you can find us if you're just joining us. We talked a lot of Eagles. We just broke down the Phillies. We're going to get into some Radio Wars. And Radio Wars is brought to you by our Wednesday night sponsor, Gibson Mayer LLC, a smart gentleman who came to advertise with us instead of getting involved in the Radio Wars. And you can find Gibson Mayer LLC right on the web, gibsonmayer.com, and also Facebook, Gibson Mayer as well. Gibson Mayer LLC on Facebook, and follow them there. Follow them everywhere. Get your taxes done next year. Whatever other accounting needs you have, they're going to be here for you to help you out. So
We're going to get him on our airwaves one of these days, too. We have to. No question about it.
No question about it. So Radio Wars, and we'll run through this fairly quickly, but it started with, the Fanatic and their fake callers everybody knows about. We don't have to go into nauseum there. But then one Mr. Josh Ennis gets fired from 94.1 WIP today, and just the back and forth of taking shots at each other, ratings, people taking shots at Josh Ennis. Say what you want, and then Mike and Dan, you guys can go off, but I like his style of radio. I mean, I think that's not knowing him, style that I like to listen to is guys have fun on air. It's about having a good time and talking outside the box, and it doesn't have to always be status quo. Okay, radio is real. Okay, there's no fake callers in radio. It's not a reality TV show. Like I said the other day, it's not Jersey Shore. You watch Jersey Shore because you're waiting for the train wreck that's set up. All that stuff's set up. When you think about sports radio and talking sports, it's all about real engagement, real debate, and real conversation. None of it's supposed to be fake. So when I hear that kind of stuff, I'm not tuning in anymore. I'm done because I don't know what's real and what's not anymore. And you're not going to lie to me and make me think there's a real debate going on when it's really fake and it's one of your jackass producers setting it all up.
Well, and they have this stupid segment, this sound off.
Yeah, sound
off.
Where
Where guys can call in and leave a message and maybe it gets played on the air, and it's supposedly, one of their highest sponsored segments. But now it kind of leads me into question is, well, sound off, how many of these calls are real?
Yeah.
Well, how much? Yeah.
What happens if they come in and they bring up the voicemail box for the sound off line one morning and there's literally one call on there? And you're going to tell me that they don't have a bunch of producers and stuff suddenly? Interns fill up the sound off line?
Yeah, where's the bad sound off stuff?
Yeah.
You're never going to hear that. And I'm okay with all that, but how many of the callers aren't real? How many callers do you think are real callers that are, it's an inside job?
Yeah.
It's Radio Wars Gate.
Well,
That's what it is.
They were breaking down some of the callers because they had the Fantasy Fest, so of course they meet some of the more famous callers on the program and everything, and they were saying that the only one that they don't know if he's real or not is Ish, that guy Ish, that calls in, the dumbass dude.
Well, look, here's the deal. We had one of their quote-unquote famous callers who became one of their employees who became one of us for about 3 weeks, and we kicked his ass to the curb because the bottom line was he wasn't that good. So,
shots taken.
Shots fired. It's. I hear what you're saying, Danny, and in a situation like that where you got people showing up at a public event and things like that. I mean, maybe it does lend a little bit of credibility to it, but still, you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, last week. We had a guy call in who wanted to debate us on the Chase Utley situation, and he's a guy who used to be on this station. We were very upfront about the fact that the guy calling in used to be on this station, and we ripped him.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing set up.
Nothing set up, nothing fake about it. He actually said to me earlier in the day, he's like, "You mind if I call in?" I said, "I'm not wasting airtime on you." He called in anyway.
Dude, and all, everything we talk about here, and I can vouch for everything I'm on and vouch for everything at the station, but, I'm vouching for everything at the station that's real. But even more so when I look at my show criteria and my rundown on what's in front of me, and I look at bullet points. You know what I mean? There's no set-in-stone stuff that has to be gotten to. It's where the conversation takes you. And the one thing I think that people need to understand when you talk about one Josh Ennis is that he let the conversation go in the direction the conversation went. Mm-hmm. And it was outside-the-box conversation. It doesn't have to, you don't have to drill numbers down my effing throat all night. Okay? I want guys that are personable, that talk about stuff that goes on in their life. I think that he got the role deal of the hosts that were put with him after Bruno
absolutely.
left. But at the end of the day, people take shots at the guy because he wasn't from here. Well, so everybody has to drink the effing Kool-Aid here?
Yeah.
When does it become an outsider's okay for somebody to tell you that your team's not good enough? So it's okay for everybody else to say Sam Bradford wasn't good enough last year, but when Ennis said it, it was a freaking everybody's up in arms. Grow up, Peter Pan.
It's like a fine line because I like Josh. I like the unbiased opinions that he brought to here. I like the criticism that he gave the teams that was rightfully so that no one else was talking about. But to me, when he talked about the teams, he just didn't have that. He didn't love them. They weren't his team.
But why does he have to?
No, which is not.
Why does he have to?
Which is not his fault. But the majority of the Philadelphia fan will sniff that out, and they don't like that.
Nah, because we're all a bunch of homers.
They want the radio host to love the teams like you do.
Oh, you mean like the cuz?
Yeah, well, that's the other part. That's the
So what's the problem here? So this is the problem with our fan base. We can't have
I agree.
anybody tell us that are like, for us, are people going to get mad at me if I tell you the team's not going to be good enough this year? Or I take a shot at the organization? What,
No,
because I'm from here?
Yeah.
And I think that's a crock of shit because...
And I'm not saying that I feel that way.
No, I know.
Yeah, I'm just telling you how it is because I know how they are sometimes.
Yeah, there's so many idiots out there that don't understand radio. I see people on the book, same thing. They want to take shots at the guy out the door. Oh, that's not the way you do radio. I tell people all the time that's not the way you do radio. Listen, that is the way you do radio. Listen, things change over the course of time through years, right? It's things evolve, right, to be bigger. When I started this station, I wanted to be the Howard Stern of sports talk. I wanted to be outside the box. I wanted to be original. I wanted to say whatever the hell we want to say. Our whole slogan is here, a new kind of sports talk, and whatever the hell else we want to talk about. Because there's no restrictions here. And I think that people get so used to the status quo bullshit that you hear on the dial that you think that's how sports talk's done, or there's a certain way to do it. There's no certain way. Have fun, make it entertaining, keep your listeners locked in. If that's good, bad, or indifferent, because the people who don't like you are the ones who are going to come back. Michael?
Well, all right, so hypothetical. Let's just say some program director from like a top 5 station in Detroit stumbles across Tom and Mike AM in the PM and listens 4, 5, 6 weeks in a row. And then all of a sudden,
How are you?
Ring, 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 Tom Arnone, hey, how would you and Mr. Mataraki feel about kind of dialing down Tom and Mike AM in the PM on A2D radio for a little while, and let you come up to Detroit and work up here in a major market, and we're going to pay you guys both $150,000 a year, and we want you to bring your style and your attitude and your knowledge up here to Detroit. Are we not going to go?
I love Cabrera.
Are we not going to go because we're not Detroit fans?
So I did that. I'm a big Victor Martinez guy.
I will shine Ian Kinsler's shoes tomorrow, okay?
I love Stafford's wife. I mean, I'm built for Detroit, baby.
You could throw a squid on my ice any day.
Big
Go get
M&M
your shine
fan.
box.
But listen, here's the thing. Look, love him or hate him, Josh Innes, most of the time, he was good for Philadelphia sports. Is he a polarizing guy? Yeah, sure. But him and Bruno legitimately kicked Mikey Miss's ass.
They did.
For months. Look, he's not from South Philly like the Cuz. He's not from Bristol like Mikey Miss. He's not from Delco. He's not from South Jersey. He's not a converted newspaper guy like Angelo or Al or Mac now. He did his thing.
He's a goddamn entertainer.
And for the guy who said to me, he's
Chip
like,
off the old block.
yeah, a guy who said to me, he's like, oh, how do you think he got his start in radio? His father got him into the business.
Who cares?
You know what? Mike Piazza got his start in Major League Baseball because his freaking father was friends with Tommy Lasorda. Okay? Exactly. There you go, Robbie. Rob Povia with the Piazza Italia jersey on. Mike Piazza still had to go through the minors, produce in the majors, become a Hall of Famer. Okay? Josh Innes got his start because of his father. Great. He was number 1 in Houston, and CBS Radio took a shot on him. You can't fault the guy for that. He, to me, honestly, he's an underappreciated outsider who was too smart for most of his audience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you got some dumb fucks in this city, bottom
question.
line.
No, I agree.
Okay?
Love to have him here.
I'd love to have him on. I told you about the first time I met him. And Danny, you'll love this. First time I met him, he's on Ashburn Alley by himself, like an hour before a Phillies game, at the Phillies Wall of Fame, sipping on a beer, reading all the plaques, taking a genuine interest in the history of the team that he's covering.
Yep.
And, he's a diehard Cardinals fan. So what? If I ever move to another city, I'm not giving up my Phillies or Eagles.
Yeah, because then you're a fraud. If you give up your teams, then you're a fraud. But listen, at the end of the day, public service announcement. Josh Innes, if you want to come on Tom and Mike AM in the PM
Love
with us,
to have you.
and you want to crush every goddamn thing around us like we're already doing, the door's open here because at the end of the day, you're going to fit in the style that I want to run because that's the style I want to do at radio. So it's okay for me to do that style, but a guy who's an outsider, he can't. No, come join us because Listen, this is real freaking talk. I don't care where you're from. Be real about what you're talking about. Be knowledgeable about what you're talking about. If he said the Eagles stunk last year, he was right. If he didn't like Chip Kelly, he was right. So at the end of the day, because he's not from here, he can't keep it real. It's not when keeping it real goes wrong. This ain't Dave Chappelle. This is real conversation, real debate. It's okay for somebody to not like our teams or think they're not good enough.
That's just how the Philadelphia fan thinks.
Well, then they're cockroaches.
Yeah,
we're getting into Cowboys territory, Dan.
It's like kind of like that thing. Like I could say whatever the hell I want about my brother or whatever,
but nobody else.
Just like I called us cockroaches.
I don't even have a freaking brother.
Yeah, just like I called us cockroaches. I can say whatever I want because it's family.
Yeah,
but look, the dude was smart. He's not a puppet. He's not going to blow smoke up somebody's ass. Like, people didn't like him because he had his shtick, and he wasn't a Philly guy. And was his show annoying at times? Yeah, it was. I mean, you and I we even goofed on him. We were like, hashtag better than Innis. Because there were times when his show was a little rough. And that's shit happens. It's growing pains. It's a guy who was coming to a new market. Him and Bruno kicked ass. And whatever problems him and Bruno had together, I don't even give a shit. Because bottom line, they did him a complete disservice by putting Hollis with him. If they would have given him anybody other than Hollis
and the stepchild,
exactly, this discussion wouldn't even be happening right now.
You give him Howard.
Him and Howard would have been tremendous together.
I'm just keeping it real.
I don't know.
Do you need a new program director at WIP? Because I am open. I am the program director and the owner here, so I have no problem doing both. I mean, if you want a program director to really drive up your goddamn ratings, this isn't tough. You know what I mean? Throw the money at your Bulldogs out there. But guess what? At the end of the day,
well, don't be surprised if Howard starts taking that afternoon shift again for a while.
Well,
didn't he leave his Fox 29?
He left Fox 29.
Well, maybe it's all part of it. Maybe they're bringing him back because guess what? Spike.
Do we get Mikey Miss Howard round 3?
I would love it because I'm a big Howard guy. I'm a big guy of these guys who just.
You're a dope and an idiot.
Well, you know what I'm a fan of? I'm the fan of the guys who don't give a rat's ass if you like them or not.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you like me or not. Because if you don't, you're going to come back and listen. If you do, then you're going to listen. So it's a win-win. And this is with these guys who are all status quo in the dial all the time, that kiss ass, don't tell you how they really feel. Because why? Because
they want to be loved.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you exactly how you feel. If you call up this show and you're an idiot, I'm going to tell you you're an effing idiot.
Yeah.
We're not going to be like, oh, well, good call, buddy. Keep your head up. Better time. Good luck next time. You'll do a better job. No, screw that. Right? You're calling in. You better bring it. Or you're going to get freaking hung up on or whatever else happens, right?
It's a great comment. Listen to this. This
Sure.
is actually from a female regarding the Josh Innes situation. Oh, this sucks. I loved to hate him. I listened daily. I was a listener since day one when he came on. Loved listening to that douchebag, said affectionately, LOL. They should send Tank packing, but I can't figure out what he likes more, food or women. There you go. And that's from a female who, basically she loved to hate him. What's going to get you ratings? People love to love or love to hate. And that's exactly what happens in Philadelphia.
Mike, wouldn't it be great if we were able to pull him on right now?
It would.
Wouldn't it be great if we could pull that off right now?
It would be phenomenal.
Well, we might be time restrictions to be able to pull it off, but
tonight.
But we're going to work. We're going to work on this.
I will do this. I will stretch. If we think we're going to get him, I will stretch.
Well, we will get him in the. We will get him in the next couple weeks because this is the worldwide leader keeping it real too. So we'll make sure we do that and get real freaking. We'll get it from the horse's mouth. On really goes.
I would love to have him sitting here with us. That would be
that would be
amazing.
I'll drink a 24 ounce.
Guy.
He's a real nice guy.
I met him too. I bought him a shot at Chickies and Pete's. Him and Hollis. Hollis is the biggest human being I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah.
But it's a shame that it didn't work out. But I mean, to be honest, I stopped listening to the show for a while, but just because not because of him, but just because of the co-host, and it was just getting old. And ever since Bruno left, I just knew the inevitable outcome that. It was just going to go downhill.
Well, listen, Dan, guess what? I don't listen to any of them.
Yeah.
I'm tired of all of them. It's boring to me.
It is.
I guess that's with every show, every radio show. I'm sure with all of us, there's times where there's a little dead stuff, but at the end of the day, our whole purpose here is to keep it up-tempo, upbeat, have fun with it, and dissect, too. You know what I mean?
You mean you're not a fan of General Knowledge Wednesday? Oh,
no,
Jesus Christ.
No, I'm not a fan of any freaking trivia, period. general knowledge, freaking movie selections. I mean, come on. You're just filling time. You're filling time.
Spending 5 hours talking about The Walking Dead. Whatever.
Rob, you have a Major League Baseball question for us?
Yeah, I do a little trivia for
Oh,
y'all.
we just talked about trivia.
We don't do this. Go ahead.
Stump the Tom.
Stump the Muzz.
Stump the Muzz.
That was a segment that jumped the shark.
I saw this come through my my news feed today. Red Sox David Ortiz is the 5th player to have 10-plus seasons of 30 home runs, 100 RBIs with one team. Can you name the other 4?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure.
10-plus seasons.
Yeah, David Ortiz is the 5th player to have 10-plus seasons of 30 homers and 100 RBIs with one team.
Barry Bonds.
Incorrect.
Willie Mays.
Incorrect.
Babe Ruth.
Correct. Yeah, 30 homers, 100 RBIs with one team.
Mickey Mantle.
Nope. This is a good one. That's why I
There's
had to
a
bring
real
it up.
good one.
Yeah.
Trying to think guys who've been somewhere for a while, too.
Yeah, played for one team for 10 years.
That's the big kicker. So it's more guys who played in the past.
You got to think the classics and one current player.
At current as in still active today?
Mm-hmm.
One is active today.
Yeah, so we're seeing
Pujols?
2 of these 5 playing this season.
Pujols?
Correct.
Oh, that's a good one.
that's a good one.
Dan,
Good one,
there you
Danny.
go.
Yeah.
Not just a football guy. Don't let him freaking
See,
fool you.
that's funny because I'm thinking, like, he says Pujols, and I'm like, no, he hasn't played for the Angels long enough. And I'm like, but wait a minute.
Yeah.
He played for the Cardinals for, 10, 11 years?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ted Williams?
Nope.
No.
Joe DiMaggio.
Chipper?
Nope.
Ooh, Chipper would have been a good
You're
guess.
dancing around the right teams, though. You're dancing around the right teams. I'll just give you that. clue.
Atlanta?
Hank Aaron.
Hank.
Correct.
Just
We
about to
were
say.
there. We were there.
I was thinking Hank, and for some reason I thought he went.
So what do we got? We got Hank,
You got Hank, Ruth, Pujols,
Pujols,
and one more.
Hank, Ruth.
This is how impressive David Ortiz is. I mean,
So Hank.
not the biggest fan, but you got to have respect.
Ruth, Pujols. One more, and this is the classic. You're going back a ways.
Oh, yeah. You might not suspect this because he had his career cut short, but he
Roberto
did.
Clemente.
Nope, that's a good
Lou,
guess, though.
Lou Gehrig?
Correct.
Ooh, good work by UTA.
To cut short, it was only a couple.
Yeah. Whew.
Good work. That was a freaking good question.
Good team effort there.
Got a nice
Well,
sweat
when
on.
when the 10:50 here, we were waiting on some confirmation on if we were able to maybe grab him on here on Mr. Ennis just to get, his reaction or whatever. We don't even have to talk about that, to be honest with you. He can just come on and talk about a couple things and we go our separate ways for tonight. It didn't have to be a reaction. I'm not trying to put guys against, back him against the wall and make him answer ridiculous questions on why they got fired because really at the end of the day, it's none of our effing business, to be honest with you.
He's probably got some contractual things where because he's still going to get paid to the end of the year.
Yeah.
He probably can't talk about certain aspects of it. I'd love to just get him on and be like, dude, how you doing?
How you
How
doing?
you doing?
How are you?
I'm glad you bring that up, man. To buy maybe a little time, maybe see if we can get him on. I did want to use your guys' show just to, give out my own prayers to the people in Italy after
absolutely.
suffering a 6.2 earthquake yesterday, leaving just towns in ruins, 159 dead confirmed, several hundred injured, and, of course, they're still digging through the rubble, finding more and more people. Just another tragedy that this earth has seen in far too close proximity. So all my prayers, all my thoughts for myself as well as A2D Radio go out to the people of Italy, my homeland. So,
No question, brother. Right with you.
Mother Italy.
Mother Italy.
No, I hear you. Absolutely. It's not even a question.
Well, listen, great show, boys. Pleasure.
Absolutely.
It was a blast. Went over a lot of things, a lot of Eagles talk and, everything else. Phillies talk, 40-man roster, radio wars, the whole nine.
Bunch of guys talking sports.
Just talking sports.
That's what we do.
So we have to thank all our sponsors, Sports Outlet. You can find them on the web, sportsoutletinc.com, as well as BMW of Atlantic City, right off exit 37 on the Parkway. You find them online, BMW of AtlanticCity.com. And Also, who am I missing here? Am I missing anybody? Scanzano Sports Center, ScanzanoSports.com, and our Wednesday night show sponsor, GibsonMayer.com. Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountant. Again, find them on the web, GibsonMayer.com. For Tom Arnone, Michael Mataraki, Dan, Nightman Dan on Twitter, Rob Povey on the ones and twos. I'm Tom Arnone for another edition of Tom
Mike
AM
in the PM.
right here on A2DRadio.com. We thank you all for listening. Thank you, Gibson Mayer LLC. GibsonMayer.com is where you find them. See you next Wednesday.
Peace.
Later.